Welcome to the next episode of the Beach Court Podcast. We have got a packed agenda for you today. So sorry about missing last week, but with the timing of us going to Europe next week for the European International Championships, it just made sense to kind of delay a week and get back on a 2-week schedule after that. But we got Teach by the Beach episode 3. So that's going to be a lot of fun. This is all about getting ready for the tournament, which is the process we're kind of going through right now, getting ready. Making sure we know what's going on in Europe. We'll discuss, of course, the Vancouver regionals, the most annoying topic that happened last weekend that nobody really cares about because it's not post-rotation, but we'll talk about it. We'll see what's up. And then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. We'll talk about the EUIC metagame, kind of give our predictions where we think the meta is going to go. And then we'll close out the episode with our tier list. We'll do it live with you. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you drop a follow. My name's Eric Ridgway. That's Max Corcoran, and that's Parker Greenwald. Boys, been a busy week. We've been testing a lot. How you feeling?
Doing good. Last night was very demoralizing for me. But you can't win them all.
But
We've been doing you can catch them all. We've been doing weekly, and actually multiple times a week, weekly like post rotation tournaments. So Parker's feeling discouraged after our last 3-round best of 3 tourney yesterday. But is the future box not boxing?
No, in fact, it didn't even have the gloves on, honestly.
Well, cleansing gloves rotated, so it makes sense, honestly. So
yeah, true.
All the gloves rotated.
I thought there was like
no, I think all the gloves
that were
rotated.
I think there's like one bad gloves card that's still in standard.
Is there?
I thought there's like 2 that were like newer than Evolving Skies.
Okay. In the comments, prove us wrong.
Yeah, prove us wrong. But yeah, I played both of my losses were to Arctina, and like it's just hard.
Oh wait, no path.
Yeah, no path. I mean, you go accelerate to your Iron Hands and literally turn 2 every single game. They just go max spell, DTE, boss the hands, and you're like, I can't do anything. Like, you win this game.
Be like that.
Yeah. My draws weren't particularly great. Like I scooped game 1 of my first series against it. Like after a couple turns, I had Marina on 1 crown, and like he killed the hands. So I was like, draw. Yeah, you got this one. But yeah. Other than that, the deck's been testing fairly well in the other stuff. I feel like you have a fair shot at pretty much everything. But we'll see what EUIC brings.
Yeah, I've been testing a few of the other, main staples as well. I mean, was actually last week at our locals, I didn't realize we were doing standards still, and I didn't have any standard decks on me. So I said, okay, well, what deck can I just turn into a standard deck real quick? And I had Charizard built. So I said, okay, I just borrowed 4 VIP passes. I think I needed some path bumps. So I borrowed like a Lost Vacuum and an Artisan and just like went with it. And then went like 4-0, just like decks cruise. And I'm like, hey, Zard feels pretty good when you're not hating on it by playing me VMAX. Honestly, like pretty solid deck. And Eric's face is being salty at some testing games when I did, where I just proceeded to every time I go first get Rotom and Buddy Poffin out every time.
Every game.
Just have turn 2 Pidgeot Zard. I think played like 4 or 5 games, and I got like turn 2 attack with Gus like every turn or something stupid like that. So
yeah.
How do you beat that?
So if I just draw that, if I play that to EUIC and I draw that hot, then I will just win the European International Championship. So
I mean, you just play Future Box with 3 leaves and 3 reboot pods, right?
Or Tina.
Yeah, 3 reboot pods.
3 reboot. Wait.
That sounds good.
Yo, honestly, what if you just played like, imagine, how you played like 8 switching cards in Lost Box? What if you just played 8 prime catchers instead?
Right.
Like, honestly, I think pretty good.
It's pretty solid. I
What
mean,
you, Eric?
so I mean, I'm loving the Future Hands box right now. So I've just been kind of testing out all those matchups. I mean, the Charizard matchup's abysmal, but hoping that other decks kind of prey on Charizard downfall a couple of rounds. And, just like potentially, when I go to locals, I had a good weekend. I went 2-0 against the 2 Zards this weekend that I played. So we had a best of 3 tournament Saturday, best of 3 tournament on Sunday, and a best of 3 3-round fun thing last night. So, which I was forced to play Zard too because there wasn't a Zard in the room, and proceeded to get bodied at 2-1. But I guess that's fine also. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Zard's okay. We'll talk about it later on our tier list of where we think it lands. I think it's obviously a strong deck, but I don't know if it's S tier yet.
Hot take. Got to stay to see the rest.
Stay to see the rest. That's right.
Take.
Well, let's jump
take.
into our Teach by the Beach segment, episode 3. So this will be our last rendition of the Teach by the Beach episodes. We were trying to do this leading up to Europe. I would encourage you to ask questions in the comments. If we didn't handle something that you want us to talk about the last 3 episodes, drop a comment, drop us a reply on Twitter. We'll handle it next episode. After we get back from Europe and before Orlando. It's going to be a busy week for us here in Florida, but let's get to Teach by the Beach. We've got some cool topics for you today. Again, it's all about getting ready for a long tournament day, setting a maintainable goal for the tournament, predicting how many people they're going to be. You should have data that kind of knows that. And there's some cool tools that you can do to set a reasonable goal to make top 8. And I'll run through the Arcanine Labs kind of website and what you should be doing and submitting your deck list the night before so you don't have to do it in the morning. We'll run through PokeStats, not PokeStats Live, because PokeStats Live is no longer an item right now. But we'll run through kind of how you can look at similar stuff that PokeStats Live has on PokeStats, which is ptcgstats.com. And then there's one last tool that we want to show you, Poke Data. Again, that's another way to kind of look at your standings. And then Parker's going to walk us through the process of knowing when you can ID and to cut, kind of like that you have to play it. Hey, this is a risky ID. There's a lot of people that don't really know that process. And even at our tournament locals on Thursday, everyone's like, hey, can I ID here? And we're like, yeah, ID, you're fine. So knowing that process will make you a better Pokemon player. So we're going to run through all those topics. So first up, Maddox, you're up with getting ready for the tournament.
Yeah. So again, when you come here, your goal is to, if you're going to either a regional, international championship, or even your local league cup, or even just your daily locals, right? You want to be prepared for the event and, come in ready for it. So first of all, most importantly is if you're going to go and play the Pokemon trading card game, you need to know your deck. If you don't know your deck, then go back and watch last episode and then come back to this episode and then we'll tell you how to succeed now that you know what to do with your deck. So assuming that you have your deck, you're all set and ready to go. A lot of the prep, I think, to go and succeed, especially at a larger event such as a regional, happens even before you walk into the venue the very first, on the first day of competition. So, for example, some of those best practices, this is the taking care of yourself parts, right? We all want to be the best like no one ever was, but even Ash Ketchum had to sleep sometimes and eat some food, right? So it's those little parts that we need to make sure we're taking care of. So if you're going to a regional and maybe you're hanging out with your friends Friday night, and then, there's some people that'll say, oh, hey, I'm going to go and cook up my list. I was up until 4 a.m. putting this cards together. That could work out well for you, or also instead, you might be penalized by your lack of sleep, your lack of energy during having to play 9-10 hours during day 1 of a tournament at a regional, for example. So taking time to get a good night's sleep, getting a proper meal. Sometimes some people get nervous during tournaments, so they don't want to eat too much. Generally, like my best practice is to go and have some snacks in my backpack. If there's a lunch break, I'll take some dedicated time to go get lunch, or run real quick and grab a sandwich or some real food. But having some granola bars, some chips, something to help sustain you throughout the day. I'll even eat a little something in between every round.
Yeah, I highly suggest sugar snacks.
Not too much sugar.
No, just enough to like a small pack of Gushers. It's got like 4 in it.
You'd be like jittering, playing your cards, all the sugar rush.
There was one time I had like a monster before round 1, and I was just like,
I too have had like the coffee before round 1 and been like, whoa, here we go. I'm like, I'm fusion striking system. We're going all over the place. But jokes aside, right?
Do what works for you.
Yeah, do what works for you. Know your body and know that, hey, this isn't if you're at a local league cup even, right? Sometimes if it's a best of 3 cup, you're going to be there for even a best of 1 cup. If there's a lot of people, if there's like 6 or 7 rounds, you're still going to be there for 3 or 4 hours. And if a cup starts at 11 and it ends at 3, Lunchtime is during that, so become prepared, right? You want to make sure that you can play your best. You want to make sure that your body and mind is in the best place to be able to help you succeed. So sleep before the tournament, bring snacks for the tournament, water, hydrate. Monster Energy is not water. Monster Energy is not
Take care of
hydrating. Coffee
yourself,
is not
right?
hydrating.
Nutrition's very important. Just you need carbs to keep moving. What is that, water, Parker?
That's
Yeah,
water.
Yeah, I'm
Cheers.
trying.
There's water in here, I promise. I
Yeah,
swear.
never mind.
I got the water bottle drinking this podcast, right? So
Yeah.
just everything you do, take care of yourself as you're going through a long day of playing Pokemon. Again, right? You know, you've been putting in a lot of time to this. You've paid money to go to this event. You've maybe traveled to this event from a far distance, right? You don't want to compromise your chances by not being prepared. So again, that's why we talk so much about last episode, knowing your deck, knowing those matchups, being ready to go, and even the day before and the day of, preparing yourself with sleep, snacks, water, getting there early. It's hard to go 9-0 day one if you show up late and miss round one and you start with a loss, right? So those little things, get rid of the having to sprint into the venue and find your table, get there early, get comfortable. Even if it's your local store, get there a little bit early, make sure your deck list is turned in, all that stuff. So you're just situated, comfortable, ready to go, ready to play your ready to play your best, because that's what you're here for.
Don't forget your deck for round one.
Also, don't do that. So.
Also, don't call your organizer. Hey, I'm on the way. Can you hold it 5 minutes?
Because no one's ever done that to Parker before.
Yeah, especially if you're going to a League Cup. Arrive 15 minutes early. Get your list. Have your list printed out. We'll talk about that in a minute. It lets the tournament run faster and it makes your day more efficient.
100%. So, right, you're at this event, and something also to think about is setting a maintainable goal, right? You need to understand your skills as a player and understand your preparation. If you picked up the trading card game a week ago and you're going to a big regional and you have a theme deck and you've never played more than 5 games of Pokemon before, it's maybe not a realistic expectation to win the whole event. You could, and that would be awesome. And all of us want to, a lot of everyone wants to win, or lots of people want to win. But set a maintainable goal, right? If it's your first tournament, or if you're not comfortable with the best of 3 format, then what's a reasonable goal? When we had Gabe Smart on the podcast a couple weeks ago, he talked about focusing on every round and kind of playing every round and every game of Pokemon in a vacuum. Did I play my best here? Did I think through my plays as best that I can, and I did do my best to play the best match of Pokemon that I can.
Yep.
So ultimately, that's kind of what it comes down to. So set that maintainable goal, whether it's something, you want to get to day 2, or you want to just, win 4 or 5 games. You want to just play all 9 rounds, and maybe you're just there for fun and you want to complete a day and see what it's like to play a full day of Pokemon. Maybe you're a more experienced player. You've had a few day 2s before. Maybe you're aiming for higher championship points or a cash prize, right? Set that maintainable goal. And again, the goals that you're setting is going to be a result of the work you put in before the tournament. So not only sleep and eating, it's also that practice and matchups. It's very unlikely that, players that are picking up a deck for the first time the night before are going to be able to do strong in the tournament because they don't know the list as well as someone else. So again, that's all about setting a maintainable goal, and again, it's okay to have different goals based off your different levels of, skill and commitment to the game. And at the same time, if you fall short of that goal, again, don't consider the tournament a failure. If you don't win that tournament that you wanted to win, it's not a failure. Again, each time you're playing Pokemon is a chance to improve. And if that's still a goal you have to win a tournament or to get cash or to make day 2, you'll have more opportunities to do that. And this experience will help you with it.
Right.
Well said.
All right. Yeah. So one piece I do want to show off real quick is, kind of this preparation that you do before the event. We'll go into a little more details later on how you actually go and get into, Top Cut, and Parker will go in depth with that. So Eric, just grab me rights to share the screen and I'll touch through the
right.
Swiss calculator, which actually will be able to tell you based off the size of your tournament and the structure of it. It'll kind of give you approximations of the number of people, as well as potential goals to aim for. So real quick, we'll just go and share this.
So if you're listening on Spotify, Google, Apple, we are sharing our screen on the YouTube. You're welcome to come follow us on Beach Court Podcast on YouTube and watch this. Otherwise, we will do our best to make it content that you can listen to as well there.
100%. So again, when you're playing it, again, it might be a local league cup. It might be a large championship. You can actually get an idea of basically this tool will simulate and kind of give a prediction about approximate numbers of people that'll end up. So say it's your local league cup and there's 25 people there, and say it's a best of one league cup, so you're not expecting many ties. So just for the sake of this example, we'll say there's a 0% tie rate.
Well, there's always going to be a small tie rate, right? Because of IDs, which we'll get into later. So
0.01.
Let's say 0.02.
Yeah.
So you can go and put in your numbers here, your players, and then you have to predict the tie rate. This is the harder part. At larger tournaments like a regional, maybe it's closer to 10 to 15% for a best of 3. But for a small best of 1 tournament, it's probably closer to that, 5% range. So for example, here, this is it'll tell you with 25 people, you'll have 5 Swiss rounds followed by a top cut. And it'll tell you approximately, 7.794. So we're all around to 8 are expected to have a record of 10 or better. So if you're entering that tournament, you say, okay, there's 5 Swiss rounds. I need to have a record of 10 or better. So I need to get 10 match points. You do that by getting 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. Or alternatively, you can have 3 wins and 2 ties. Right. So that's the goal for you to aim for. So if your goal is to make cut here, then going into the tournament, you're able to go and look at this and say, hey, my goal is to make it to top cut. So I need to aim for 3-1-1. That's my goal. If that's that maintainable goal for you. And again, that going into the tournament, so that way you know what the expectations are. And okay, I've lost a game. Hey, I really got to buckle down and take my time here. Or maybe you've tied 3, or sorry, you've won 3 games. And then you say, okay, I'm in a comfortable spot where I'm very likely to be safe if I just get 1 tie out of these next 2 games. So again, Parker will touch a little bit later on kind of the details of when to ID and all of that specifics. So one other example we want to say here, say if your goal is to win some prizing and you're going to a regional championship. So we'll say, for example, Charlotte regional championship was how many? 2,200 people?
A lot.
It was a lot of people, right? So, so we'll say the tie rate there is 0.15, 15%. We do have to check for a regional. It's a 2-day tournament. So we'll add this little 2-day tournament checkbox. Go and calculate the odds there. And again, here for a 2-day tournament, it understands how the Pokemon rules work and that there'll be a day 1 and a day 2. So here it says 234 players are expected to have a record of 19 or better. And I'll actually show you that breakdown here of the cumulative players and the amount of points that they have. So 19 match points in order to advance to day 2, has it here at 234 cumulative players. And of those exactly, or approximately 148 will have exactly 19 match points. So again, if your goal was to get top 512, for example, at Charlotte, and you looked at this and you're saying, okay, I need to aim for probably more than 16 match points. So 531 would put you on a bubble there. If you were to get to 522, then that would, probably lock you in with 17 match points. And then again, if your goal is to make top cut, you're looking at the, phase 2 portion here. 7.3 players are expected to have a record of 36 or better. So right, this is exactly what we saw. We saw actually this one had someone with a record of 35 bubbling out. I think we had a 36 bubble out.
36 bubbled out.
Yeah, didn't McConney bubble out? Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. So, but again, also here, if your goal was to get top 64, maybe you want to win some packs, then you have to here aim for 32 match points. So that'd be a record of 10-3-2. Right. So again, it gets into the complexities, and the more you spend time with this and the more tournaments you play, the quicker the math comes to your head. But for now, being able to use the limitless Swiss calculator as just a area to go and put in those amount of players, that tie rate, and just have an idea of what to go into. I especially recommend this for smaller tournaments. If you say, hey, our locals tend to have, 18 people, so you kind of know a ballpark of what to expect. And of course, when you get there, when they put up the roster, and you can say, hey, there's 27 masters. Oh, there's a little more than normal. Let me put in the Swiss calculator. That's something we've all done at tournaments. We go to a cup, type in the Swiss calculator. Okay, hey, here's the goal, everyone. If you're trying to make top cut, you're aiming for this record.
It's usually the first thing I do before round 1, almost every tournament. Yeah, and that's on Limitless under the tools section. We'll post the link here in the comments of the description of this video. So.
All right.
Great.
And one last little part I want to touch on of just playing the game at your best. Again, you're taking all this time to prepare for the tournament. You know what your goals are now. And then the last goal is just to play your best while you're there, right? So you've done all these pieces. So there's a little extra time you want to think about those, little more advanced skills that you maybe have heard about or spent some time working on. And at a regional is a time when you can really benefit from implementing those. For example, prize checking. So we've talked about prize checking before, but when you're playing in a regional and when every game counts, especially going for your maintainable but reasonable goal, you want to go and know what cards you have available. If you're playing Chen Pao deck, for example, and you play 3 Chen Pao and you look through your deck and you see 0 Chen Pao, then maybe you don't want to Ultra Ball away your heavy ball because you know you need it to recover your Chen Pao, for example. Again, know your counts and work on those prize checking skills to see those important cards. The other part is when you go to a big regional, again, if your goal is to reach a certain record, maybe you're trying to reach 6-2-1 to get 19 match points to go to day 2. You need to, watch the clock and understand kind of the larger picture of the event. So say, for example, that you're at a record of 1-1-1 and you're going through the game and, maybe it's a longer matchup. Maybe you're playing against Gardevoir or you Lost Box or some deck that takes a little bit longer to play against. So knowing the game situation of what your goals are says, hey, my goal is to get to 6-2-1. I have a record of 1-1-1 right now. If I were to get a tie here, then that would make things a little bit trickier for me. Because if you did have a tie there, you would have 5 rounds left, and the only way to get to 19 match points would be 6-1-2. So this is a spot where maybe you won game 1 and you have a very rough start game 2. There are some times where, depending on the amount of time left in the game, you might want to say, hey, I'm just going to concede this game 2 really quick, go to game 3 and try to win quickly to secure that win. Also, there's times, again, knowing the game situation, if it's been 45 minutes and you've gotten through one game, then it's going to be very hard to complete that second game. So, there's some pieces there where it says, okay, well, the game result might be stuck here if this game doesn't finish. So if you won that first game, then it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, even if game 2 doesn't finish, then I still win this set. So again, watch that clock and just kind of keep an eye on, again, how this lines up with your full goals of the event. Considering that if you have a best of 3 and you're playing a long deck and maybe, right, you have a bad start, you say, I'm just going to pick up the cards, we'll go to game 2 and I'll try to win 2 games quickly.
Well said. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, maintaining that game that you're playing the best in between rounds. That time isn't meant to just dilly-dally, right? Take care of yourself, eat, rest, go to the bathroom, do what you need to do. Also, sometimes if you're, stressed or you've been tired or you had a tilting game or you had an aggravating situation, get some air. I carry my AirPods with me. So sometimes if I just need to kind of like cool off or just like take a little break, put on some of my favorite songs, jam to that. And
make a video of yourself so you can watch it later.
Anything you need to do, right? So any of that time that you can spend in between rounds, just make sure you're taking care of yourself. And again, you're here to play. You want to play at the highest level that you can. So take that time to prepare yourself and be ready for the next round, get comfortable and go for it. Yeah. You're there to succeed. So just take all those steps, play the game at your best, do your prep for the event, and you're gonna get closer to the results that you want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Parker, when did you become go from that, oh, I'm just playing Pokemon to like starting to learn these things?
Funnily enough, I kind of just picked it up because back in the like when I started playing, I consider Florida to be definitely still one of the most competitive, tough
B tier according to
environment
Azul
states.
GG.
According to Azul, yeah, but I think it's at least A tier. Honestly, I'm not just saying that because I live here, but um, it was very very competitive in Orlando every time I went to a city championship. So we'd have Michael Canavis who's been playing this season and Orion Craig, like Jose, all these people, every this is this if we if this guy wins here then we can do this and this and that and putting the strings, attaching all the things on the whiteboard and stuff. So I was, it was pretty fascinating to me. So I was like, how are they doing this? But the more you play, the more you kind of just, you get the hang of it kind of. And I would say probably about 2017-ish, I was like, people were just like, yo, do I draw here? I was like, yeah, you can draw, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the more you try to do it, the more you practice it. Again, it's just practice, right? The more times you practice it, the better you'll learn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I know I had to learn that skill last year myself. So hopefully that was informative for you. And we'll move on to our next topic now, which is kind of like Arcanine and some of the tools you can use on the day of to support you in your tournament run. So you can't play in a Pokemon tournament if you do not submit your deck list for competitive tournaments. So this is league cups, league challenges, and regional championships, international championships, and if you're lucky enough to make the world championships. So you need to fill out a deck list. So when you go to a regional championship, you do that online. When you go to a league cup or a league challenge, you have to print it out and or fill it out manually by hand when you're there. I would highly suggest what I'm about to show you, do this for your league cups, and there's a print option, and you're allowed to print it from Arcanine and just hand it in to there's like an option, and I'll show that to you in a second. So you're allowed to hand that in. So let's talk about deck lists. So what is Arcanine? Arcanine.gg is your online resource to sign up for regional championships for the trading card game, Pokemon Go, VGC, all those things, as well as this is where you will find your ability to create your deck list for your tournaments, have all your registrations available, see your history, create deck lists. You can create multiple deck lists. You don't have to do just one at a time. That's what's really cool about it. You can store multiple deck lists on here and update them as you make changes. But as you see, this is my dashboard. So once I'm logged in, there's a player dashboard. And when you come to this player dashboard, it'll show my registrations. You'll see that I'm registered for Europe, Orlando, and Indianapolis currently. So when list submission is open, the status over here will say accepting list on the far right. And that's when you'll know you're able to do it, usually the week of. So I anticipate next Monday, I'll be able to start submitting a list here. But just because it's not available doesn't mean I can't go create my deck list now. On the far left side, there's the deck list creator under tools. And you can also do this for those of you that are VGC or Pokemon Go that might be listening. You can do it as well here. I know VGC is very annoying in real life. You got to create 2 copies IRL.
Ooh, and Go.
And Go. Wow. Yeah, that's annoying.
Same thing.
No thanks. And that's because they have open team sheets. So like, they need one and then you keep one. So back to what Maddox was saying about the number of players. It does show the registered players once you're registered for a larger event. This does include all age divisions in your criteria, like in your tournament. So if you're playing trading card game, this includes juniors, seniors, and masters. As of now, we've been just like subtracting like 400 to 500 for like juniors and seniors, and just saying, hey, we're like around 2,600 masters probably for Europe.
God.
I know, right? That's crazy. I mean, it's
Real.
going to be 2,300 for Orlando.
Yep.
So those are where you get the numbers that Max was talking about of like total players. Kind of like the day before. So now I'm going to go to deck list creator. So I click on that link. Again, as long as you're logged in, it will show all of your registrations here on the deck list creator. And it will allow you to submit. So once submissions opens, which here it opens on April 1st for Europe, there'll be a kind of checkbox that you click right here. It'll say, submit deck list. And then you scroll down to a list that you have created and click the green submit button. So I'll click this and you'll see I'll get an error. It says select a registration above first. And that's because I cannot submit a list for any of these. So any list that you have created, they will all be here. I think on the standard deck list page, it's about a year they keep the list, and then your archive. Your archive will be older than a year if you have any. So to create a new standard list, you just click on new standard list. And then from here, you just search for your card name. So if you were going to play Arceus Giratina, you would go Arceus V, and it will bring them up. Now, there is a lot of different arts of Arceus V and different cards that are in the Pokemon game. Important to note, for Pokemon only, you have to choose the correct art. For your trainers, the exact art. For your trainers and your energy, you do not have to choose the arts, even though they're available in this system. So if I'm playing, these Arceuses here, I can't go like 1, 1, 1, 1, because I will get a deck list error when I am deck checked, right? Now, if you're playing 4 different arts, do that. You need to go through that process of doing it. And
You're
more power
also
to
a
you.
maniac.
Nah, you're also a legend because that's
Yeah,
the
you're a
optimal
legend.
way.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to play Candace in your deck, then you just search for Candace.
Who's
and you ch-
Candace?
You choose the art that you're playing. I would suggest the full art.
But the art
Uh,
doesn't matter for
yeah, but still,
traders.
yeah. So the art doesn't matter, but still select it. So you see how I've chosen RCSV, but in the parentheses it says what set name and number, but for Candace it doesn't, and that's because it's not required. So from once you fill out your list, you can even import lists from PTCGO, rest in peace, and PTCG Live. So you can copy those lists over. I'm gonna import them, and then like I said, back on your player dashboard. Once you go back to your deck list creator, then you can submit them there. Nugget of thought. My oldest deck list in here is the EUIC Big Bear when I was playing
wow.
Single Strike Urshifu last year to London.
Big Bear.
Oh, what's your oldest list? Well, I know Maddox, yours is Mew. Don't even.
I mean, mine's probably the really bad Mew Max list that I played to Orlando last year,
3
and
quick balls.
yeah, so actually might have expired by then. So maybe you have something new and fancy.
I don't
It's
have
probably
my
just another
yeah.
Mew Max list.
Yeah, it's probably a standard Mew VMAX list.
But hey, Mew Max, good deck.
Not anymore.
It still's a good deck.
Margaret, what's
Okay.
your oldest list?
I'm getting to it right now. Let me see. Is that really the oldest one?
Oh, I do have my OG list. Aw.
Oh, the quick ball, 3 quick ball.
3 quick ball and 4
The,
cross switcher. Don't play that. Quick
the
ball is illegal, so you
oldest
can't, but
4 cross switchers.
the oldest list I have is Pikarom from 2019.
hey, there you go.
Oh, I hated that deck. That was like the only deck that can compete with ADP though.
ADP. You had to play Crushing Hammers.
4 crushing hammers, everyone's favorite.
All right, but so yeah, so that's kind of the deck list and the fun. On your player dashboard, once you're in the tournament days, because we're talking about tournament day, you click on the tournament to kind of initiate going to that tournament. And this is where once you click on that and you're signed in, this page right here will show everything for you. This will show a deck list that you have submitted. This will show the pairings. So if a pairing has been posted, it will show up right here. You don't need to go into the actual pairings link and find it. Now you're welcome to, but it's a lot harder. You have that Control F, and I'll show that in a second. You gotta scroll through like all of these pairings to try to find your name. Versus Arcanine just puts it on your dashboard for you right here. So highly suggest if you're looking for your parents, have Arcanine loaded up onto this page and just refresh this page. Once they say that pairings are announced, wait your 20 minutes while your internet loads and find your pairing.
I don't have to be 20 minutes. You're definitely getting a game. You're definitely getting a match loss for that.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that's kind of what the pairings look like if you want to go back and look. And that's Arcanine. Anything you guys want to add about Arcanine before I move on to the next couple of tools?
Oh, no, you pretty much covered it all.
Yeah, great resource.
Cool. Moving on. So speaking of great resources, we did have an awesome resource. Rest in peace this weekend with PokeStats Live. We are all very saddened, but respect, the owner's decision, and the stress it was adding to him and the things that, he was able to tell us. If you're not familiar with, go on Twitter and read Jared Grimes' tweet, and all the information is there. But that was kind of the baby of PokeStats, of what used to be PokeStats. So now this is kind of your site to find a way to see what players are playing in day 2 and kind of how many decks are in day 2. And you can see they kind of weren't prepared for it this weekend, really. So there's not a lot of decks filled out here. But when I first started playing and PokeStats Live didn't exist, this would have, at least the archetype. There'd be a lot more filled out, and there would be some that wouldn't be filled out that they don't know. But they would have a way to find out what people are playing because they're walking around and doing reporting. So Definitely use ptcgstats.com on your day of to, especially like if you go into day 2, if you make day 2, load this site while you're sitting at dinner at night and see what data's there. Just to help you and have it up on day 2. You get paired, you get paired into Rahul ready. You can come here and say, all right, Rahul's playing Chen Pao. Gives you a little bit of a leg up. And that's just the scouting, right? Don't only rely on this. You and your friend group, you have a friend group now because we talked about kind of making friends and like-minded people. You guys should all be kind of saying, hey, like, oh yeah, Dylan's playing Gardevoir, right? And Max is like, hey, I just got paired against John Smith. Has anyone played John? And then, I'm over here like, oh yeah, Eric, yeah, I played John. He's playing Arctina, right? So talk to your friend group, and that's just always good information in scouting. So that's a great resource. And then the last resource that's very important on the day of, this is kind of like, this is has your pairings. This doesn't have pairings, but it has your standings. So this PokeData .ovh gives you real time kind of results and standings after each round. And so this is going to be very pivotal to see this so that when you go to do what Parker's about to talk about, which is the intentionally draw and, oh, I want to make top 32 to make some cash. Can I ID here to guarantee that, or do I have to play? Top, I can't make top 32, but I can guarantee myself top 64. So I should ID here. That's a lot of what these tools are for. And I highly suggest using PokeData to kind of show your points. And it will also, this is a very important, now that we don't have PokeStats live, this is where you will see your resistance. So you can really understand what your resistance is at major tournaments by using this tool. Whereas before we would have used PokeStats live. So yeah, that's where we are there. And anything got to add for any of the tools before I kind of pass it over to you, Parker?
Nope. This looks good. Sadly, PokeStats kind of did all of these things put together live on like the day of, but now you have these other resources that you can use that you navigate your way through and accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, Maddox, anything to say about any of those tools?
Yeah, I mean, lots of great resources. Again, PokeStats Live, probably will return in the future, but at least in now in its current state. There's other pieces that do the same thing, so I want to make sure that you're aware of those resources, and especially at a regional or greater level event. This is essential to tracking your goals, especially for those that are playing in day 2 and aiming for top cut or for prize money, things like that.
Yeah, so up next is talking about reviewing pairings and understanding what you need to achieve what can you do this round to achieve your goal for the next upcoming round. So the pairings come out, you look at the pairings, and Parker's going to walk you through with some real live examples of some tournaments.
Yes, I am. So for at a regional level, it's a bit more simple day one. The goal is basically to get 19 match points or better, which is a record of 6-2-1. So let's say you're playing your 6-2, you have the option to draw your last round, or if you daring players are gonna try to go a little bit farther maybe, or just want that extra little padding of having the extra match points under your belt. You can play it out, but a lot of the time players will draw just to get themselves to that next stage of day 2. Um, at local events, it's a bit more useful how to have a grasp on how to navigate through the rounds and see like what record or match points you'll need to make it like into top cut. So I'll say for the most part, at most cups or local events, you'll likely have to go X11, X being basically the number of wins based on how many rounds. So like if you're at a 6 round event, you'll probably need to go 4-1-1 just to guarantee yourself that spot in top. That's what you're going for. But not all tournaments are the same. There's always a bunch of different scenarios and wild cards that come up during events. So when you're playing day of, it's important to pay attention to pretty much everything. One thing that you need to pay attention to is if the junior and senior division have less than 8 combined players, because after they're unable to be like logically paired with each other anymore, they'll get paired against masters. And a lot of the times, juniors and seniors are like insane at this game now. So a lot of the times, they'll be hanging with the masters, like beating them. So basically, like let's say a junior is 1-1, gets paired against the master, and wins. That was also 1-1. Like that almost knocks that person out of contention. But it really, like I said, it depends on the size. It depends on a bunch of other things. In some cases, like for example, at one of the League Cups I judged, it was 5 rounds with only top four. So typically in those events, I would expect, like 3-1-1 might not even be like a safe record if you have like, I think this had 18 players or something like that. So pretty much like 302 was kind of the record you were gunning for. But one of the juniors was just crushing it. He went 5-0. So, destroying all these masters. Someone actually, because of, I think 5 people had dropped at that point, a 3-2 actually made it into the top four.
That's wild.
So yeah. So like, you know, I I'm not gonna say to drop at 2 losses, but like a lot of the time, that's gonna be like it's gonna be tough to top with 3-2. But as Maddox and Eric mentioned before, the Swiss calculator on a limitless is a good tool. Like I said, there's always a ton of variables, but it'll give you a good general idea. And I think most of the time it's gonna shoot out the like 7 players or like 7 point more players are going to have, 10 match points, 13 match points, based on which, like how many rounds there are. But we're just going to take in a live example here if I can figure out to share my screen. Oh, it's sharing Eric right
No, I stopped sharing. You should be good to go.
now. Oh, okay. It looked like it was sharing you, but all right, you can see it, right?
No, not yet.
I can't. It says it's like up on my.
You got to click the little
There
share
you go.
button. There you go.
Now it's
There we
showing.
go.
There we go. Now
Okay.
it's sharing.
It's okay.
All right.
We're all figuring out Zoom here.
Yeah, I've never
We're new to
shared my
this
screen on
podcasting
here.
thing.
Yeah. I've never shared it on here. I'm a Skype kind of guy, But
Throwback.
yeah.
Throwback.
Yeah. So we're just gonna look at this late night here. Basically, um, it's a bit more simple when it's kind of laid out like this. You get to see there's 56 matches, blah 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 blah. But in theory, there will be 50% of the players will win, 50% of the players will lose. So if you go through round one, it's pretty much all that way. You see the 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. The earlier rounds like aren't irrelevant because like there's pair ups, pair downs, so like where people of 2 different match records play against each other. Um, Typically, and it depends what round and everything else, but typically like you're kind of rooting for in the early rounds the person with the higher record, and towards the end you're rooting for the person with the lower record to win with the pair ups and pair downs. So round two is going to be more like the same pretty much. You just kind of look in. Were there any draws? Yeah, there's a couple draws, but typically 50% of the players win, 50% of the players lose. Looks like a couple players dropped at this point. So round three at like smaller local events are going to be where you kind of start hyper paying attention to it. That is, if you're there more than just playing the game, you're going to have people dropping. You're going to have weirder kind of pairings for the most part. So like after round 2, like, oh, this guy, this guy didn't run hot or hit bad matchups or maybe made a poor play that cost it in the game. They're frustrated. They're just gonna drop. Um, Typically, the more players that drop, the more chances you have of making it into cut with like a X2 record rather than X11. But then again, it also depends on the initial size of the tournament and drawing as well. So this is round 3. It's gonna be, I don't know if I guess there was a draw here, but it's gonna be, pretty much 50% win, 50% lose. Round 4, you can see there's only 37 matches, so that means quite a bit of people have dropped out at this point. But you can see, so we've got some 4-0s and stuff. So in a tournament of this size, I think it was what it started with 56. 6 times 2 is like 112.
112.
Yeah, so about 112 players. It'll be 7 rounds. So when you're 4-0, basically in your mind, like let's say you're 4-0 here, you're thinking I need to win one of the next 3 and then draw. And like so you can, or I guess you need to not take 2 losses, but win one of the next 2 and draw. Or, like if I draw this round, then you have win one of the next 2. So round 5 comes. There's only 31 matches in this one. This guy, ECU Pirates. There's a fair amount of 5-0s.
Yeah, so there's
it's
3 5-0s going into round 6
And 2 401s.
and 2
yeah,
401s.
401s. And so now you're kind of looking, and it is a bit like more difficult with more people. So like typically at a local level, I mean, I have seen events this big, but you're typically not going to have this many people. But you're gonna start really looking at basically people that are in contention. So like you want to focus mainly on people that are X1 going into this round. So you count how many X1s there are.
Table 12, is it 12, 13? Oh, yeah, you got all the way down
Yeah, we
there.
got all the way down. Oops, didn't mean to do that.
Oh, Ante Valiant though.
Yeah, good deck. All the way down to table 16, you got an X1, and then you even got an X11 at 17. So that's basically a number of people in contention. Theoretically, in the next round, that will be cut in half. It
Yeah,
looked
so can you
like,
go back to round 5?
oh yeah,
Yeah, so when you're looking at this, right, and you're at a tournament, you got 3 5-0s. So what does that mean, right? That means that
Mhm.
one person's going to get down paired next round.
yes,
And because the 4-win people they're trying to get one more win to get to that 5-1-1 record, they're not going to, the 5-0 that gets down paired will not be able to intentionally draw next round.
right. So next round, 2 of these people will likely intentionally draw, have a record of 501 to basically make it to where no matter what happens the next round, so long as they don't get like DQ'd,
Right.
they will they'll basically guaranteed cut. But one of these 5-0s will have to play, like Eric said. If you're, let's say you have one loss here, you're wanting the person with the, wait, what happened here? Was there a 401? Oh, there was
Yeah, there
no,
was.
there's a
Yeah, there
couple
was.
401s.
2 401s. So
Okay.
Josh got paired into Jack. ECU Pirates
Mhm.
got down paired and lost.
Yeah.
And then the other 401 lost.
Okay.
That got down paired to a 4-1.
Yeah. Okay. I see now. So that's an oddity somewhat. And there are ties that occur. But I would say typically in a best of 1 event, there's not too many ties. So like let's say this guy, he was 5-0 and this guy's 4-1. You're
401,
cheering
yeah.
for the guy that's 5-0 to win because you basically that would give him 2 losses and it would make it to where 5-1-1 has a better shot of like not whiffing cut because at 5-1-1 with this many players, it's possible to whiff. As
Yeah, I mean,
I actually,
if you look at round 6 right here, right? I mean,
yeah,
show how you would count the people that are in contention.
Yeah, so basically I'd go scroll all the way down to I guess
Line 10, probably that's the last
yeah,
person.
table 10 is gonna be the last table. So that means that
So you got one X11,
mhm,
and then you've got, can you unhighlight that? You got 1, 2, 3, oh,
God dang it.
1, 2, 3, 4 people above it that are X2.
Mhm,
So it looks like you got 13. You have 13 people that are that are a record of X11 or better. So when we say X11, X just means whatever number it is based on the number of rounds you've played. Um, so there's 13 people in contention for top 8. So what does that mean? If I have a record of 5-0-1, can I ID next round safely?
5-0-1, absolutely.
What if I
You're
have a
fine.
record of 5-1? Can I ID next round?
It depends on how confident you are in your resistance or tiebreakers, however you refer to them. Basically, it's the cumulative um percentage of your opponent's win percentage. In Pokemon, it's I don't know if it's actually different from other games, but the lowest percentage that someone can give you is 25%. Even if they go 0 and 7, it'll give you 25%. But um it I forget how ties affect it, but pretty much like if you started 5-0 and lost 2, let's say, in a scenario where like one person who's 5-2 makes cut, if you start 5-0 and like lose the next 2, your tiebreakers are going to be a lot better than somebody who like started 0 and 2 and like won 5 straight, just in theory.
Right.
But
So you got 3 5-0-1. So the same thing's going to happen again. One of those 5-0-1s is going to get down paired, and Kowashi's guaranteed to not get down paired.
right.
Right. So because of how Swiss works, you can't play the same opponent twice. If I'm
Mhm.
Kowashi, I'm set for top cut because I can ID at 5-0-1.
Mhm.
But the other two, I can get down paired to a 5-1 and have to play it.
Yep, absolutely. And let's see what happens. So yeah, they take the draw here. Josh and Crash. Crash is pretty confident that an intentional draw will get him in the cut. So here, the last round, it's like it gets sort of sketchy. So obviously, games of Pokemon should be decided by games of Pokemon. But kind of take a look around the room. Um, because if you let's say you're in Crash's situation and there's 13 people gunning for 8 slots. So
Yep.
you see that this table's they're setting up. This table they're setting up. This table they're setting up. So you think, so now there's gonna be 9 people in contention if I take this draw. I'm pretty confident that me at 5-1-1 will be better than other people that drew at the same record or like won their last game to become that. So I would say, yeah, it would safe to be taking the draw here if you see other people setting up. So if you see other people not playing, so they're gonna be uh everyone's looking to draw, then like all 13 spots are gonna be like,
Right. Someone's going to be on the bubble.
hey, yeah. So you might think to yourself, well, I don't know about my odds because there's gonna be, I don't know, 7. Let's see if you're in his spot. Everyone drew, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 people with your same record. You might say, like I played against this guy that, he left after round 2, and then, round 3 I got down paired and this and that. So there's like a bunch of scenarios where you got to think about like
Especially at smaller local events, it's important to keep track of who you got paired against and what their record was.
exactly,
Because
yeah,
when you get down paired, that's going to make your resistance worse to
right,
make these decisions towards the end of a tournament.
right. So if I was in that scenario there, you say, you know what, man, like I think we got to play this one out. Boom, you play. Hopefully you win. If not, like you're right there, but I am typically a proponent of not taking risky IDs. I just play, and if I lose, I lose. Like it wasn't meant to be, or I played poorly. But if you go here, let's go to the standings. So all these people, our boy Crash elected the ID, didn't end up making it in, unfortunately. I guess it has like the win loss record of like what they were in top. So let's see. Koiwashi was 502 when they made cut. Josh was 502. H Gibbon was 511. Gamilla Killa was 511 as well. So Gennario and Crash took the risky IDs and it didn't pay off, unfortunately.
Yep.
So in that scenario, I'd probably say to play. But like I was saying earlier, at a smaller local event, it's probably 5 rounds, maybe 6. It's gonna be a little more clear cut
Yep.
on like what to do. There's not gonna be as many people on the bubble typically, but the more players you have, the more chance of that happening.
Right. If your tournament pays out, store credit for top 8, and you look at the pairings for the last round, there's 8 people that have a record of 5-1 or say 3-1 or better, and everyone else below that at table 5 is 2-2. That means all of you guys are safe to ID for top 8. But if you're playing for top 4, then maybe different rules apply.
And Parker, can you touch on this opponent win percentage column?
Yes. So like I was saying earlier, we can refer to it as tiebreakers, win percentage. You hear all different names. The official Pokemon term for is resistance. Basically, so you can see that these are 56.63s. I'm a little sad we don't get to see what theirs were, just to compare, how close it was, or if they all had like the same win percentage, or it's drastically different. Typically 56 is pretty good. That means like your opponents, won more than they lost, which is good. That's like a good typical number to see there. Sometimes, in smaller tournaments, like the bigger the tournament gets, the more the standard deviation like shrink. But at like a smaller tournament, sometimes you see people with like 70% win percentage because like their opponents, their opponents are killing it, and like they've
You
been
played
at the
against
higher
Maddox and Eric, and
tables.
they only lost 1 round.
Exactly, or they're undefeated, and they both drew the last round, and then like so sometimes you see like significantly higher ones, but typically it's going to be around this is like a good percentage to be at.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome. Thanks for going over that. I mean, this was hopefully you guys got some information from this, and you can use all this knowledge that we gave you over the last 3 episodes to go and tear up your local scene, and whenever you make it the top cut, you can celebrate by singing at Nakama, right? I mean, they got karaoke at Nakama. This episode's brought to you by Nakama. This podcast loves karaoke. Go out to Nakama, have some fun, sing some songs, and play some Pokemon. I mean, it's great. We're there every Wednesday night, 6:30. Someone's always singing karaoke while we're playing cards. I mean, it's pretty cool that you don't even have to get a room just to go sing karaoke and hang out. So thank you, Nakama, for your continued support. And we'll move on to our next topic. My ride-on did it again. Another tournament, another, somewhere we got we got some chopping on going. But this time it was the peony version of the Maridon. I think last time it was not, right? I mean, it was
not.
Yeah, right. Okay. So
If
Maridon took down Lax in the finals. Mew VMAX got its gracious kick out the door with getting a donk in top 8. It didn't get a donk, it got donked.
It got donked.
Rude.
Sorry, Colin. We love you, but get that Mew VMAX out the door. Maddox, you want to spend 2.4 seconds on Mew?
Yeah. Literally, they broke the script. It was supposed to be Mew Cougar, Mew in its last event, but anyways, hating on the script, but
Rest
it's
in
fine.
peace, my boy. Get that. I don't have to put Drapion in my deck anymore. Thank God.
Drapion was already a bad card. Imagine being a card that's in F block where your abilities are only to counter E block cards.
Mm-hmm. You have a good deck.
Yep.
Yeah, like, man, Drapion now is just binder bulk. Congratulations, buddy.
It really
You were
is
never
just
good.
binder bulk now. Yeah. But yeah, so looking at the day 2 results and top 8, what stands out to you guys?
One thing that just kind of randomly stands out to me is that every Miraidon deck, except for Moffat's, May Evans is actually the peony version. So like, I don't know what happened in the kitchens over the course of the past couple weeks, but
That's
it's the
because I
peony
wasn't
versions.
there and Pikachu Prime
Yeah,
wasn't there.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, the peony version of Miraidon, which I personally hate, um, really popping off this weekend actually.
Yeah, I mean, you just like Peony for Pokemon Catcher Generator and just hit 2 off Generator and call it a
Yep.
day, right?
Yep, and then draw cards with Mew twice, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the card has came around, you know. It's gotten some great finishes, and so obviously it's proven that it was good.
Yeah, a really interesting archetype that like saw some nice success. Unfortunately, Peony's leaving the format, but really unique card. And again, I mean, it got a nice regional win. Another part, shout out to the talented Canadian Pokemon players for the top 4 was, there were 3 Canadians that made top cut. 3 of them made top 4. It was Nathan who was the one American left standing who eventually won the event.
Took it down. Get them Canadians out of here. Just kidding. We support all nations on this podcast.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot, like, again, really strong showing from a lot of the Canadian players. Especially I write, Lucas and Rowan playing the same Guardy list. I think it was the same, maybe slightly different, but
It
both
was
making top
one
4.
card off. Nope, that was the
Oh,
same.
exact same list. I mean, that's Gardevoir's, last chance with Sharding Arcana to have the exact same 60 VIP list Guardy make top with it. Unfortunately, it's better that they didn't get paired into each other, but they got paired into Peony Dawn, terrible matchup for Guardy without
Terrible
VIP,
matchup.
and Snorlax, terrible matchup for Guardy. They even played the Turo Pal Pad package, but it just
Still wasn't enough.
just
Yeah.
wasn't quite working. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, only
Um,
2 Snorlaxes in day 2, and one made it all the way to second place.
Only
wow.
two.
Only 2. Yeah. You know what we do have in day 2? 74th place Joel Bergman playing Lugia, getting ready for post rotation. You guys see this list? My boy's got a Shaman V in his list.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So he was cooking. Joel, great list. Congratulations on your finish. Doesn't play any grass, but does play a Luminous.
Hey, that's all you need.
3-2 Lugia.
Wait, is it all you need? Oh no, well it plays the one fire. It plays the hands package. You play the basic energy.
Yeah, you use
fire and
basic energy. Yeah,
lightning. Yeah.
fire. You can just you literally have to have specifically your Luminous and your fire.
Well, you just go Vessel. Easy. Vessel, discarded chops, summoning star, attach lightning, primal turbo, the luminous, chilling.
Wait, how's he
Jeez
attacking with Iron
Louise.
Hands? Oh, there's lightning.
play
Oh,
lightning.
I didn't see him. I didn't see him.
Oh.
Hey, run back the tape, especially anyone streaming this live on Twitter. Run back the tape when I said he plays lightnings.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, run back that tape for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is just standard for the most part. I mean, Gardevoir dominated day 2. You look at the stats, 22% going into day 2. It's just nuts. But you know who was ready for Gardevoir? Azul's crew was ready for Gardevoir. They played Panic Mask in their Charizard list this weekend. I think Caleb Gettimer called it Control Zard, is what he tried to call it. So looking at that list, they've got the Panic Mask, they got the Devo, 6 Fire, Avery. They were ready for Gardevoir.
last time Panic Mask had a day 2 entry before Vancouver was 1 in Toronto and 1 in Sacramento.
Wow.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
I
remember when the
thought
Arcturas played it, but that was it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, back in like Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
NAIC last year, but unfortunately, Duraludon has not been relevant in a while, and oof, it's gone.
Much ever since Zard came out.
Do we have any last minute comments on E Block?
I think just shout out to like the stacked 34 bubble of the Vancouver regionals. I mean, you got Edwin Arroyo, great Guardy player. Unfortunately, was top 16 and lost winning in Knoxville, but again, right there at 9th, bubbling out with Guardy again. And then Hale, great player. Actually breaking out the
And
Valiant. The Valiant, bringing
Very
it back all the way to
unconventional
10th
list
place.
too.
Is it?
No DT, no Yoga Looper.
And a 2
Oh,
tuber
yeah.
barrel.
Wow.
Two tuber barrel. He's just straight slugging it with Entei.
Wow.
Entei, Valiant pings, it's all you need. Nothing cute. No Yoga Loop. Probably already sold his cards for E Block with that and just said, hey, here we go. So
Yeah, I bulked my Yoga Looper, my bad.
And we got Zoro Box with its last best finish, 18th place, Kobe Kawasaki.
yeah, I mean
Probably.
Kobe made it on stream. Didn't do great on stream, but I mean 18th place. I mean, I think it's probably the highest finish we've seen for Zoroark. I mean, it's kind of been a while. People are saying this deck has a lot of potential. It's personally been a pet deck that I've enjoyed. But just never quite got that big finish that it needed. Actually,
Indonesia has been killing Zoro Box.
In Indonesia, yeah.
Indonesia, November 8th
wow.
and 11th, February 9th and 14th. But outside of that, I mean, the best finish. This is the best American finish for the list. Looks like.
Actually, we got when is this from? Zorbox by Sander back in Liverpool, but which Liverpool was this? This was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, where's
I mean, this played
Oh,
Galarian
5th.
Weezing.
Yeah. I mean, that's again
list.
in America. Well, I wasn't even in America. Yeah, so cool. I guess let's see who owns the best. Anthony Bruno owns the best American finish. No, just
Our
kidding.
boy.
No, Ross does. Ross Cathon does. 52nd place in Arlington last year.
So shout out to Anthony, friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend
2
of the pod.
regional finishes. Actually, 3. He has the 19th place in Toronto. Zorbox. So
yeah, I wasn't counting that as America. That's why.
Well, Vancouver is also not America. So
Right, that's why I said I couldn't count that either. Yeah, exactly. All right.
anyways.
I'm done with E Block. Are you guys done with E Block? Let's move on to the fun stuff.
Honestly, I enjoyed it.
I mean, I enjoyed it outside of the freaking Lugia format.
That wasn't even E Block. That was D Block.
I mean, that's true. That's true. When D
Yeah.
Block rotated. Yeah, okay. All right. E Block was fine. E Block was fine.
It brought us a Mew VMAX World Championship. That's all we needed.
It did bring us a Mew VMAX championship.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Yeah, I guess if you're into that
that's
kind of
great.
thing, then sure, man.
Hating.
All right. Rest in peace, Rapid Strike. Rest in peace, Fusion Strike. Rest in peace.
VIP
all
pass.
of E-Block. Yeah, thank God. Get that card out of here.
I did hate that card, yeah.
Let's talk about some buddy Poffin though.
Let's talk. I will say though, I was playing some Caparaja online today, and I was like, man, I wish I had VIP.
Oh yeah.
I'm playing Turtwig, Torterra EX, wishing you had VIP.
But yeah, because of the 90. Yeah. All right, well, moving on. Let's talk EUIC. That'll be our last segment of the podcast. We're going to talk some metagame. I'm going to review some tournaments. I'm going to throw some questions at you. I'm going to ask you to predict some number 1 decks, top 6 decks, and we'll run through that. I believe we did that previously a little bit, but this will be your official predictions, and I will be keeping track of score at home. Are you boys ready for the questions?
Yes.
Sure.
What's the
100% accuracy right here.
What is the best worst deck that is a new deck?
The best worst deck.
Best and worst?
Yeah.
Or like best. Wait, do
Is
you want
it
the
one
best
deck?
worst deck? Or the best and worst deck?
So this isn't a trivia question. This is an opinion question.
Right.
Out of
How
all
many
the
decks
new
do you
deck-
want? Do you want
Out
a
of all-
best deck or a worst deck, or do you want
Out-
the best worst deck?
I want the best worst deck. So out of
Okay.
all the new decks, what deck is the best new worst deck?
The best worst deck is Ancient Box.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I almost think Ancient Box is viable enough that it's not a worst deck.
But it is.
Hot take.
I don't know.
No, I mean, I think throw some Pokestops in. I think throw the Roaring Moon EX and Dark Patches, and you're chilling. I
Pokestop,
think
Roaring Moon.
yeah, I mean, we're gonna see an Ancient Box in top 32 for sure.
Oh, hot take, writing that one down.
Hot take.
I think 32 is a pretty conservative take. Someone's gonna crack it. Someone's gonna run hot enough. You can't feast off Mew V Maxes anymore with your dark typing though. Just kidding. It was never a good matchup anyways.
Wrote that one down, boy.
Best worst deck of the new format. I don't know. All the worst decks are kind of bad. That's the problem.
I know my answer.
All right, you go with your answer while I stall and steal your
Great Tusk
answer.
Mill is the best worst deck. It's a lot of fun to play. It's a good deck, but it just falls so short.
Is it actually fun to play?
Heck yeah, milling your opponent's great. So much fun. You go counter catch your mill and they go switch KO and you're like, crap.
I mean, that's all you do though. You just go like play an ancient supporter, play counter catcher, attack.
Yeah,
That's all you do.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
It's not fun.
I mean, it's fun when you see, you mill 4 and it's Mirage Gate, Mirage Gate, Mirage Gate, Mirage Gate, and you're like, cool. You have a good deck.
And you go Darkrai V Star, grab your Mirage Gates back.
Oh,
Oh,
Now, so best worst deck again, decks that people think are just gonna fall off the face of the earth and disappear, but I think actually could still be viable and like still have a pretty strong finish somewhere. Again,
Stop.
probably not top 5.
stop.
I'm going Gardevoir EX. Listen,
talk
you
about-
still have a lot.
okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, listen, you still have, you got your charms, you got Hero's Cape now, Scream Tail, just a very, very strong card right
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
As well as this Drifloon, just, big damage potential. Again, it's missing a lot of the key pieces. It's definitely not as good as it once was. And I don't think it's going to be a top, S or S tier deck or top A tier deck. But I think right on that fringe, you're going to see some Guardy believers just stick with it. Have a good list and just let Guardy do Guardy things. Iono, Counter Catcher, Scream Tail, still pretty good.
I was gonna say, do you just like play Calamitous Wasteland with that combo?
No.
I don't
It
know.
lets you get more of your energy back when you retreat. Free tip for any Guardy players out there.
I know that
play it.
one of our friends, Sebastian, is loving trying to make that work, and I'm like, bro, just stop. But yeah,
Best worst deck, Gardevoir EX.
it is the best worst deck. Yes, that is true. Okay. What is the deck that you wish was good from that is a new deck? And I mean, obviously you've said Ancient Box, Parker, but what other deck do you wish was good that just isn't good?
I think it's on the cusp of being good. And like I had some success today playing it.
Oh,
Raging Bolt.
okay. What version?
I was playing the lost version.
Lost
and it was
box
cool
version.
because like if you open Greninja and like energy, like an ancient Pokemon and Asada, like you don't brick. Like, yeah, you're not pumping your lost zone, but like you're not, dead. And then the Raging Bolt has a discard your hand, draw 6 as an attack.
Yep, sure
for
does.
1, so it's like free consistency.
Pretty solid. Some Lost Boxes have even played like Squawk in the past just to get that aggressive start. I know the one deck that I'm want to be good is a fun pet deck we've talked about before on the pod, but just for Alligator with Relicanth. I think there's something there. The Relicanth, like when you read Alligator's text, it says this Pokemon can't use Great Wave again. Its only attack is Great Wave, therefore implying there's a world where you use Great Wave and then go copy Croconaw switching attack or Big Bite
and
to
using
retreat
the
black.
ability.
Exactly. So, anyways, I want it to be good. Everyone got it in their build and battle box. Yeah, it'll make top 8. No, it won't. Don't hold me to that. It'll make top. Someone with Alligator will make top 1,500 at EUIC. Hot take. You can't track that because they won't have all the lists. But I'm just saying, someone will do it.
True.
Covering my bases.
I mean,
someone as Eric Ridgeway.
hey yo, what the?
We gotta get the soundboard. Anyone who
I,
doesn't know this John Cena's theme, not copyrighted.
I really wish that Torterra was good.
Mm.
Like having a grass weakness in the meta seems like it should be good. And you're seeing some, we're seeing some of Spartha's success. I mean, we had 2 in the like top 16 last night of an online tournament. Top 11, excuse me. I mean, so I'm just saying, grass weakness is good. But yeah, it's just not good because you can't play Buddy Poffin in that deck. Which is so good for a stage 2, but it is what it is. Move on.
We're getting more grass support next set.
Yeah, we are, but we're also we're also getting Tyranitar and Garchomp next set. Not Garchomp, but the thing. The Greninja. Yeah.
That's fine. We gotta get through. We gotta get through this.
Yeah, let's get through. Let's get the world first. Oh. Okay, so what's going to be? Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Those are some fun questions. All right, consensus. What's number 1 deck going to be as far as playability?
Wait, play rate.
Play rate. Yes, thank you.
Play rate. Charizard.
Parker, number 1 says Charizard.
I'm going Lugia.
Ooh, okay. Maddox says Lugia. I'm gonna go Zard. I'm gonna go safe also. What's number 2? Let's go backwards. Drafting format here. Number 2 is gonna be Chin Pao.
Are we classifying future box and hands separately? Or is future as an archetype just one?
They'll probably classify it separately, I would assume.
I think they'll put them all together.
I don't think
if
they
so,
will.
Future would be my number 2.
I don't think they're going to combine it. I think it's going to be separate.
I don't think
I think
so.
I think there's too many variations that could be similar. Like if a Turbo Hands is playing like an Iron Leaves,
True,
then like
true,
how
true,
different is
true,
that than a
true.
future box?
True. Okay, well
Yeah.
let's say it's combined. Sure.
Then I'll put future.
Future hot take.
Sure.
Maddox, number 2 and number 3 for you.
Zard, pretty easy number 2. Number 3, we'll go Chen Pao.
All right. Parker said future number 2. What's your number 3?
Lugia.
Lugia.
People love playing Lugia in the new formats.
People just love playing Lugia in general. Yeah, my number 3 is going to be Lugia also.
Boo, pick a rogue deck for the people.
My number 4 is going to be Future Box. Parker, what is your number 4?
Are Lost Box and Tina grouped into the same group or not?
No. They can clearly
Okay.
say, like, if Giratina's in it, it'll be separate.
Okay. Then I'll put Chen Pao.
All right. And Maddox, what is your number 4 and number 5?
I gotta like part of me wants to say that some people just roll up with like Lost Tina.
They probably will.
Or
yeah.
like Arc.
Dude,
I'm
saying,
but like future, but like I think if we're especially if we're combining the futures, I think future slides in at 4. Yeah.
Okay. Number 5.
Number 5, we're probably going. What other decks are there? I mean, I hit the main ones. Not too many people are gonna
You're
play
missing
Arc.
Tina.
I think we're going Lost Tina at 5.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Parker, what is your number 5?
I'm like stuck between 2 Tina decks, whether it's Arc Tina or Lost
Yeah,
Tina.
I mean, those are 2
I'm
good ones
gonna
to be stuck
say
against.
I'm gonna say for EUIC specifically, Arc Tina is just so simplistic, so strong.
Yep.
Like ridiculously strong right now.
Yeah,
Max
and
Pokes
I'm
made
I'm
it.
going the same thing. I'm going number 5 Arctina, and I'm going number 6 Lost Tina. I think Lost Tina is definitely better than Lost Box. But
Even
I
without
could see, yeah, I could see some. I mean, you don't need the path. It's fine.
No, I know, but that was like one of your main comeback mechanics back in the day of
Cool.
today still, because it's not rotation yet.
Parker, lock in your number 6.
um ugh. I could go scorchingly hot. No,
Oh,
I'm just gonna
oh,
say no. I'm just gonna say Lost Tina as well. I was gonna go scorchingly hot and say like some ancient list comes out within the next week, and no. That's not
okay,
gonna
okay.
We'll get a little bit of heat here at the end for number 6. Arctina, nah. We're going Turbo Lost Box
All
on the
right.
charts.
Sure. Yeah.
They got some spice. So someone's gonna show up with some spice. It's gonna be your favorite comfy cram Sableye, and actually maybe not even Sableye these days. Comfy cram and random binder drop.
Hoopa
Raging Bolt.
EX.
No. Actually, I hope Slitherwing. I don't know. We'll see.
Opa sucks.
Yeah.
It's
All
3
right,
dark
so
energies.
Parker, let's look back. No, it's only 2 for Energy Cross. Ready?
Oh,
All right, looking back at you, Parker. Zard percentage.
percentage 18.
Woo. Future.
11.
Oh, it's a big drop off. Lugia.
10.
Chen Pao.
9 or 10.
Arctina.
8.
Lost Tina.
6.5.
Dang. And give me a random special deck that's gonna show up on the more category. Like any one deck.
Or
And give me a percentage.
some kind of ancient thing, maybe. She
How much
is
percent?
she 5.4.
All right, cool.
Call
Just
it
for
out
fun.
specifically.
Lugia. Maddox, Lugia number 1 for you.
Lugia will go 17.
Shit. Zard.
16.
Jesus Christ.
We're swinging out hot. There's only a few good decks. They're all up there.
Chen Pao.
15.5.
Brother. What in the
45% of
world?
the room is just those 3 decks. They're just like so solid right now.
I mean, true.
Future.
Future is like we'll go to like a 12.
You gotta go lower than that, bro. You're gonna have
I'll
nothing
go
left
11.
for
We'll
the
go
random.
11. We'll go 11.
Is
Lost
this even
Tina.
gonna be 100%?
That's what I'm saying, bro. He's gonna have 100 in his first 6. Lost Tina.
Trust. Lost Tina. I mean, here we see a bigger drop. Like Lost Tina is gonna be like 7. Turbo Lost Box is gonna also be like 7, but slightly less.
Okay. All right, so for me, I'm gonna say like 16% Zard, 13% Chen Pao, 10% Lugia, 9.5% hands, 7% Arctina, and 7% Lost Tina. Cool. I got them written down, and we'll revisit these after we return from Europe.
All 3 of those are correct. Anyone watching, just pick your favorite one of us, and that is the exact meta percentage for Europe. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Correct.
Exactly.
You are welcome. Yes.
Now we are all missing one thing. I just like to point out.
Snorlax. Yeah.
Yes. we're
Yes, I
all-
know.
Snorlax
Are
off
we
the
all
chart.
haters?
No, Snorlax is off the chart, but still at 5.372%.
Maddox at 5.3. Okay.
7.2 rounds up to 5.4.
All right. I think for me, my off the chart deck that I would pick here would be like Turbo Lost Box because I don't have it. And I would say it's like 5.8%, and then Snorlax below that. I mean, I think the Snorlax is fine, but like Snorlax is losing to Arctina, it's losing to Lugia, and there was another matchup. I was like, yeah, it's not good for Snorlax. Oh, lost Tina. Lost Tina's closer now with the Eries, but I think Lost Tina is still favored. It's like those three decks are just going to keep Snorlax at bay, and it's a little tough for them to play. All right, so you heard it here first. Those were our meta predictions. Let's move on to our tier list and construct this live. We did find a tier list that we're going to use thanks to, who was that, Maddox, that you got this from?
A few people have been using, a few content creators have been using this, but pulled up specifically from Cilios Network. Shout out to them for the great content and
Yeah.
making this list available.
Some of these we just like won't even put on our list. So like the Wug trios and stuff. But like some of these will be played, and let's just drag all the rogue stuff out first. So pick some rogue decks and let's put them in the rogue category.
Wug Trio.
Well, we're gonna not put them
Dialga.
on there, right?
Okay. Oh, we're just saying, we're calling out rogue
Like
decks.
this isn't a deck, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like this is a deck,
Dialga.
but it's rogue. This is a deck, but it's rogue.
Entei Valiant.
Is there still hope for Entei Valiant post rotation?
I don't know.
I mean, actually, well, you're right. You lose rope, so you go down from 12 switching cards to 8.
Probably
you lose
just play
VIP
4
pass,
Jets.
but you can play Techno Radar to get the Valiants, but you still need to play Nest Ball to get the Enteis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, worse, but yeah, maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to put in the rogue? I mean, I guess we'll just
Raging
put these.
Bolt.
Oh, get Wug out of here.
All
Yeah,
right, we're getting Wug out of here.
Is Miraidon rogue?
Miraidon's rogue at this point, unfortunately.
Isn't?
Yeah.
Nah, it's not rogue.
You think it's C?
Yeah, I think
I don't think it's above C.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, but Miraidon and Regieleki is not rogue. I think it's a deck.
All right. Hot take. Let's get to some of the real decks.
All right.
The big one, winner of Championships League in Fukuoka, Lugia V-Star. Is it back? Where is it in the tier list for EUIC specifically?
A. Do you think it's above A? Anyone or?
I mean, it loses the hands deck, but outside of that, like, what else does it lose to?
Itself.
But if you lose to itself, like you still got to play it.
I don't know. I think for EUIC, Lugia is probably like one of the best plays.
I agree.
It is good in like unknown formats.
Like I think it's better than Zard into EUIC.
Okay.
Well, cool with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we just mentioned it, so we just put both Zards in A tier, right? Or is Bib going into B?
Oh, I think they're both A.
I think they're both A.
Personally.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think Zard, Pidgeot Zard is in a vacuum a better deck than Lugia. For EUIC specifically, I think too many people are going to be ready for Zard, and planning their decks around Zard specifically. Yeah. So I think just because of that, it's a slightly worse play. Even though I think the deck overall is probably the strongest in the format.
Right now. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, but like Arctina has the Iron Leaves now. Lost Tina has Iron Leaves. Arctina also has Iron Leaves and Max Belt to hit the 330 number. Chen Pao, maybe you a closer matchup because you're probably playing Max Belt. Like you're losing to Lost Tina, you're losing to Lugia most likely. You're losing to Arctina.
But again, we're losing to those decks because they're playing Iron Leaves and Max Belt specifically to deal with Charizard.
Right, exactly.
So I think in a world where if Zard is not that strong of a deck, then the people are not playing that. But for right now, people are, I think, going into EUIC with the preparation of saying, and probably even Orlando saying, hey, I cannot lose to Zard.
Right.
So they're making sure that their deck has any techs necessary to beat Zard.
Mm-hmm. Agreed?
Yes.
Lost Tina.
I want to hear y'all's opinion. I think I'd put it A, but I want to hear what y'all have to say.
I think its Lugia matchup is abysmal. like literally almost unwinnable. Its Arc Tina matchup probably isn't good because they're playing Radiant Gardevoir.
Yeah.
And you don't have Path to turn it off anymore. I mean, you're favored into Zard. You're probably unfavored into Hands. I think for this tournament specifically, it's probably a B play.
I can see it a B or A. I'm fine with leaving it in B for now.
Because I think you're unfavored to Chen Pao too, right?
I think it just depends how hard they pop off, I think.
Because I mean, I don't think Tina's playing Manaphy, right? Still?
Um, I am in mine, but like I would say probably not. I
Move
think
Sablezard
Sablezard's Rogue.
Yeah, I think Sablezard's Rogue. There's just too much hands going around right now that it's just not a deck.
And also tough, really tough time in Lugia.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
Oh yeah, they shove a mist on a guy, and you're just like, oh,
Chen Pao.
probably
I
A.
think I think Chen Pao for EUIC is an S tier play.
Ooh,
I think it
saucy.
can beat pretty much anything.
Yeah.
You just have to dodge the Eries, but again, Chen Pao is a deck that once it gets going can turn 2 KO anything in the game. Can turn 2 cross, Prime Catcher Cologne, take out 2 your little setup guys, or turn 1 hands, or
Yeah.
turn 2 hands. Right? I think probably one of the highest power levels of the deck. Again, runs into consistency issues in a similar spot to like a Lugia, where it says, "Hey, this deck can pretty much do anything at once as long as it gets set up." So I think with that, very, very strong play. Probably gains the most out of any deck on this list from Apex and Prime Catcher. Uses it the best with just the ability to power up Greninja, and I think a really, really solid play for UIC.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's a comfort deck. People know it. It gains more supporters. It's going to be played at a high rate, and it's going to succeed.
Yeah.
Roaring Moon. I mean, we haven't seen any good list to put this higher than C, right?
If it's referring to the like Baby Moon, Big Moon deck, yeah, maybe C or B, like in that area.
I could see it in B. I haven't played it. I don't have a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
It's
experience
Yeah.
with it.
It's a sneaky solid deck.
yeah.
It just loses some of the consistency of VIP Pass and Moltres, but it's one of those that once you get rolling, then it can still do well. It's just the hardest part is getting rolling. Like
Yeah.
the list we saw earliest in the Paradox Rift format.
Yeah.
Hands future box.
So we'll call this like the turbo
Like
hands that's
Turbo
going.
hands, yeah.
Yeah, it's like really streamlined around Iron Hands.
A.
I mean, you have good matchups into the field except for Zard and Pidgeot, right?
Um,
Like that's the issues
you
with the
have,
deck.
I don't know, like
Oh, Arctina's kind of tough too.
I've been kind of crapping on it online, but like if you so like if your opponent bricks for like one turn, you probably just win the game like solely off that.
Yep.
But man, it's so tough.
That is tough. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Peony on this format where it can get going very, very quick and be threatening early. I think as the game progresses, the less and less the deck is favored, unless the opponent is kind of playing into the counter catcher shenanigans. I still think I'd be okay with putting it in A. Just again, a strong deck. But again, has a little bit of a polarizing matchup spread. But any deck that could say, hey, you missed a beat. Oh, you went, lone Frigibax attached pass, donk with Miraidon, or turn 1 hands a Comfy, and it's just too hard for them to respond.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better than these two decks.
I
sure.
think I think Tina's pretty good still, personally. But I'm also a Tina fanboy.
Always been a Tina fanboy.
Let's hit our last two Ancient Boys, Ancient Box and Great Tusk Mill.
Well, Great Tusk Mill, we've already discussed. That's a terrible deck. We're gonna put that in C. It's not Rogue. It's there.
C's not terrible.
The C is not terrible.
I mean, yes, but it's better than all these, I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, I think it's
better
better
than the
than
road
Dialga.
decks.
I
I
think
think it's better
better.
than Maridon.
Yeah.
I think there's even a conversation to put it in B.
Nah.
But I do think Great Tusk Mill is much better than Ancient Box with like Koraidon.
Top C and then other ancient is bottom C or something.
I'm okay with that.
What did we say? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Tusk top C, regular
Ancient
box bottom
bottom.
C
Copy that.
ish. Cause like the deck's cool and good, but like you don't hit the numbers fast enough, and like it's tough into like Lugia, it's tough into Zard if they just retreat their guys basically.
Right. Or if they collapse one away, you just
They
lose.
collapse one
Yeah.
away, you hit, like yeah, you're probably lost.
Yeah.
What about future box? Is that going in C?
I think it has a little more potential than the Ancient Box, but
B.
I mean, I could see it in B. Like
I
low
think it's
side
a
of
good
B,
play
high
if
side
you
of
if
C.
you figure out a good list that you're comfortable with, and you can make it consistent. Then I think it's a good play.
Yeah. Just, I mean, consistency is the answer. Theoretically, it has the answer to everything. It's just actually putting it all together.
All right, we got 3 Arc decks. I'm gonna put Arc Armor Rouge in category C.
Sure.
Arc Vulpix, category B, and Arc Tina in category A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arc Vulpix, I think
content
it's just
with that.
such a meta call. It's
Yeah.
if they're not teching for Vulpix, if Zard's not teching for Vulpix, you're in really good shape. If they
Lugia
are, then
matchup's
you probably
terrible,
just
right,
lose.
though?
Yeah, Lugia matchup's terrible. Well, Lugia matchup's terrible for all the Arc decks, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right. Where do we want to put Gardevoir? Up here ish.
I haven't tested or theorized it enough. I think, yeah, towards the bottom of B, maybe.
Bottom of
yeah,
B.
probably. Yeah.
It's better than Arc Vulpix or worse than Arc Vulpix? Probably better, right?
Maybe worse. It's hard to say. I mean, they're all right around there.
I'm gonna say better. I wanna say better.
All right, all right.
Cheesy Man, Cheese String Man
Bro,
with
Goldango.
Goldango Pouch. Is it an A play?
Bro, I think it's A play.
I could see it being an A play also.
It has unlimited damage cap, so like it you can go toe to toe with every deck, and then like I think you also kind of crap on the Iron Hands deck if you don't brick.
Yep.
How's it
Yeah.
in the Lugia?
Probably just a slugfest.
Yeah, I mean it's like yeah, I think it's not good matchup.
Because they can go Minchino, your
Yeah.
Goldango. I mean,
Like
if you
your
can go
favorite
early
in
and
Shen Pao,
go
your favorite
like
in should be
Cologne, Greninja, some Minchinos, you're in good
you don't even
shape.
need Cologne because they don't play Manaphy.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You just need to do it turn 2 before. I mean, if you get turn 2 Ninja, you probably just win.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
They call for family or something.
Yeah, I'm okay with it being an A.
That's a bit of a hot take.
I need to find my Goldengos.
I think it's at the bottom of A, but I think it's an A.
Yeah.
All right, let's send it.
All right, Snorlax, A, above Arctina, above hands, at the top A.
My thing with Control is that like Control gained a lot of tools this format, so people know about it. And I think Lax is being tested for a little bit more.
I think it's a worse play. You think it's
Like
a top of B play?
I think maybe better than that. I think like Lax and like I mean Fidgeot Control's there later, so I was talking about in a second. But like I mean those two decks, I think very very good. It's just a matter of how much is it being respected. I think EUIC could be a case where the deck is being respected a little bit more, doesn't do as well, and then becomes a slightly stronger play for Orlando.
Yeah.
But I mean
I'm seeing some Zard Pidgeots playing Gengar.
The Gengar, yes, sir.
but like I don't know if that's real. It's like cute, but I don't know if it's real.
All
But
right.
I mean, like, I think if people play that to EUIC, for example, they're gonna say, "Oh, I didn't hit any lax. I'm gonna cut it for Orlando
Cutting
for
it for
consistency."
Orlando. Yeah.
And then you go flip, and then you go find 3 lax opponents, and then you cry
So we say
Um,
it's I think it's an A play, but at the bottom of A.
for
Yeah.
UIC. Yeah,
I mean, because you're losing to Lugia and you're losing to Arctina
And lost
and
Tina.
lost Tina, right? So, and
Yeah.
then like people are again testing against it. So yeah, okay, I'm cool with that.
I think you'd probably lose the Great Tusk.
yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Actually, no,
No?
no, it's actually a Snorlax favored.
Is it?
Yeah,
All
I
right,
think
let's
it's
run 100 games after this.
I think
Let's
it's
figure.
actually 100 games. We're not going to be here for 5 years, but you know we got some control players in our area, and I've saw some games of them playing against each other, and Snorlax was pretty favored. It was pretty easy for them.
That's fair.
Snorlax Pidgeot, bottom of B.
Sure.
I'm.
That's kind of
Oh,
my
oh,
suggestion, but
oh.
I mean,
What?
listen. If like this is a weird one where it's like if there's so much potential for this deck and so many new tools that I think that Pidgeot can utilize all the tools better,
But
and it
the
actually
meta's
has
unknown,
answers to
right?
decks for like Tina and stuff.
But the
If
meta's
someone,
kind of unknown.
yes, I mean if you're the person who knows it can predict the meta and say, hey, I'm going to build this list to beat what I think the meta is, and you get it right, like good chance you could just make top 8 with the list. I think we're in a
Sure.
spot where like all the decks in B could probably make the list, but Pidgeot's that wild card where it's like it could be so good. And I think we will see a really strong performance with the Pidgeot, but for just your average person, probably not the play.
Last deck. I think this belongs in B category right below Tina. Lost box
Sure.
with whatever
Yeah.
text you want.
Yeah. And I think someone will probably play some like super off the wall thing and maybe like squeak a top 8 out with Lost Box or something. But
Yeah, I could see that.
100%.
I don't know if I see it winning the event. But
I mean, I don't know if it's a good play for the tournament, right?
yeah.
Maybe if you can dodge Lugia and you're just hitting, or maybe you found the right Lugia tech
Aerodactyl.
and bring back Raikou.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's Salvatore box? We haven't talked
Salvatore
about that
box.
one.
Yeah.
Bronzong, Aerodactyl V-Star, what's the other one? Noivern, yeah.
Noivern, Vulpix.
There you go. Just everything.
I just got everything.
For Salvatore, for Luminion, for Jet, you're set.
For
Oh.
Laminion. You start Laminion.
What does it matter? You have another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this list is good. So just looking back on it, anything you guys want to talk about?
Goldango feels out of place. I just got to call it out.
You think so?
Well, I mean,
don't
it's like
know,
the little
man.
dragon meme. It's like Charizard, Turbo Hands, Arctina, Goldango. But like,
I mean, I think Goldango, now that there's no path, they take a better matchup in the Lost Tina. They have a good matchup in the hands. They have a good matchup into Zard. Lugia matchup is like 50-50, and Shin Pal's probably favored.
Just slightly, I would probably say.
I mean, so when you look at it
Just have to-
holistically with all those talks about S, A, and B,
all right.
I think it's right there with it.
Maybe I'm not a believer. If you're Chen Pao, if you're a Goldango believer, call me out in the comments.
Yeah. Abby, that's you. Do your job. Get it done.
Oh,
Abby won our best of 3 tournament this weekend. She went 5-0-1
With Goldango.
with Goldango. So saucy. And I know we got some other Goldango players working on some spicy techs. So that's our tier list, and that's our episode, guys. Any closing thoughts?
Best of luck, everyone going to EUIC.
Yes.
Eric and I will be there. Excited to see you. We'll have be there for a good time. We'll be playing some new games. We'll be pretty busy most of the time because we'll be playing in finals on Sunday. But
Right,
but catch us
right.
in between that, or and the off chance that we don't make finals, we'll be hanging around all weekend. And yeah, come catch us, grab us for a pint, and
a
yeah.
pint.
Right, you're in London.
You're in London. A pint, mate. I mean, if we do make finals, just catch us Saturday night playing Epic Splash for the tournament
Nah.
with our cube.
Too
So
risky. Let's do movie max mirrors instead.
how about Muv Max versus Old Lugia?
I mean, I get big parasol, right? I'll
You
just
get
play Aerodactyl V Star.
Yeah,
Shout out Xander Perot
you get
and
big
Salvatore.
you get big Parasol, but I get Baby Evatol. So
You can't play vacuum though.
yes, I
Deal?
can. No.
Ah.
But yeah, so that's our episode. So again, our schedule we flipped to starting on this week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. Very, very small potential. Maybe we release something while we're in Europe. Me and Maddox. We'll see.
Or maybe
Maybe.
just I. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, Parker, if you want to do all the work, go for it, man. But maybe we'll have a small episode, very short, kind of checking in, and we'll see. We'll see what we can get done for you. But that's our episode. Hope you enjoyed the tier list. If you were like kind of following along while you're listening on Spotify, you can check out our Twitter page. It will have the tier list on the Twitter page on Thursday. And also come back and listen, watch some of the Teach by the Beach comments. Please leave some comments below about any feedback you have about Teach by the Beach, and hopefully you learn something. If there's something you want us to cover, hey, I want to learn about this topic, let us know, and maybe we'll do an episode 4. Until then, man, have fun at the beach. Have fun in, EUIC on your flights. Have safe flights, everyone. And thanks for listening. This has been Beach Court Podcast. Have a nice evening.